Black Widow is one of the most fragile characters in all of Rivals. Her focus is extremely simple and linear. She's a sniper that stays in the backlines and shoots people, preferably in the head. If her goal is intercepted in any way, she has a kick that serves as a get-off-me tool to stave off opponents. She has the same normal speed as every other character in the roster, but she has an ability that can allow her to travel faster than most teammates. That same ability can help her jump higher than everyone else too. That's everything that Black Widow has. She has the least amount of abilities in the game, least amount of variation in the game, and is by far one of the least picked duelist characters in all of Rivals. I feel like most people would probably point fingers at a certain situation that drove Natascha's irrelevancy into the modern scope of Rivals, but there's a lot more to that story. She was on the list of heroes since release date, but ever since that release date, there have been quite a few patch notes that have adjusted many characters over time, for better or for worse. Jeff, for example, was completely readjusted to stray from the DPS Jeff of Season 0. Ultron was given a lot of buffs to make them a real character in competitive matches, and then they got nerfed again. Widow has also gotten some buffs over time, making her much more useful than her debut in Rivals. However, most of those buffs never justified her character to be valuable compared to other duelists, especially since there's another character that serves completely as an upgraded version of Widow. I've had a modest amount of time playing Natascha on quickplay, and I feel like her weaknesses are much more obvious once you actually start to play the character. For context, I solo made Mantis throughout Season 6 when I first played the game, then switched to Widow in Season 6.5. I've lorded her after quite a bit of time, and yeah, this character is pretty bad. Regardless, there were some characters that really struck out to me that completely pummel Widow in a quickplay setting. These characters are Widow's worst matchups. The Vanguard characters have always been a struggle for Widow. Since they have more than 250 HP, she can't exactly grab the kill as quickly as she could with other characters. This problem is also even worse on the other specific tanks, as they can form shields that completely block Natascha's shots. So, when they added double Dinosaur to the game, things weren't looking so good for Widow. This shield right here, this shield is what makes double Dinosaur such a bad matchup for Widow. It has 400 HP, which has proven to be a struggle for opponents to take down together. It has a 10-second cooldown, meaning that it can be used many times for a single life before getting killed. And even if Double Dinosaur doesn't have this shield up, they can take reduced damage on headshots, completely invalidating Widow's game plan. Don't forget that Dino also gets passive healing for the bleeding effect on enemies as well, making Widow even more useless. And yeah, Double Dinosaur is complete hit candy to almost every character in the game, but that doesn't matter when they have so many tools to fight against that. And even if you're not trying to hit this guy, they can still run into your primary target and tank all the shots because of how big they are.
I'll try applying damage to the big angry dinosaur.
This damn dinosaur keeps getting in the way though. That rogue is super low. Rebel Dino, you big dinosaur, bro. Now, I referenced the tanks that can summon these sorts of shields, like Emma Magneto and others. They can protect their teammates outright as well, but usually opponents can just wait until those shields are dropped to continue fighting. But they don't come to the degree of this dinosaur for the reasons I listed already. So, what does Widow do here? The best thing that Widow can do here is just not engage. She doesn't stand a chance against this hell of a shield, so they're better off at picking out other characters that are out of their range. If she's approached by a double dinosaur, she's probably just screwed. Unless the double dinosaur really doesn't know how to play, it's nearly impossible to beat this guy one-on-one. And don't worry, I didn't forget about the batons either. Usually the use case of the batons is for close range combat, or if you just can't get a shot on a one-on-one interaction, but that doesn't entirely work with double dinosaur because, I mean, let's be real, you're not getting the kill anyway. So I guess they're not entirely useless, but they're not the greatest tool either. But if you do succeed, you can get some really funny kills off of it.
Ow.
Oh, no, okay, their Devil Dinosaur's way smarter than that.
So I low-key kind of walked into Namor and just got touched.
Yeah, I literally can't do anything about that. Wait, maybe I can. Nice. Okay, but the point is, just don't approach them. You're fighting a lost battle. Psylocke. Where do I begin with you? Now, it's not just Psylocke that destroys Widow, it's also these other flankers as well, but we'll focus on Psylocke for now. Natascha has always struggled against these divers, but this one really astonished me. When it comes to any other character in one-on-one interactions, Widow is able to utilize her kick to keep those opponents away. It's basically her whole game plan in one-on-one combat. Psylocke completely throws that strategy out the window though. Her massive burst damage on her abilities puts down Natascha in a blink of an eye. Even if the flank somehow fails, Psylocke is able to grant themselves invisibility to protect her from these failed dives. Most of the characters on the rival roster struggle to fight against this, but it's much more severe on Widow. Her lack of abilities and overall mobility hinders her matchup against Psylocke. It doesn't help that her only ability to fend off against these characters has a 15-second cooldown per kick. Why is this so bad? Well, there's many times that Widow has to run away from situations on mid or low HP. It's very likely that the player had to use her kick in that fight that led him into running. So, if someone on the opposing team sees this, they are very able to call that out instantly. And when they do, you're just toast. Without the ability to fend off against these characters, it's really hard to even try to grab a kill. There's some very lucky situations where a cocky diver ends up rushing you without full HP, leading to some really cheesy kills. But other than that, the interaction is basically unwinnable. Psylocke represents the extremely severe side of Widow's weakness against divers, but other divers like Iron Fist and Magic showcase this very well too. Iron Fist has that parry ability that can basically outclass any character in the entire game, and Magic's invincibility window makes it hard for Widow to capitalize on the second lock vulnerability seen in these sorts of matchups. If Widow is forced to interact with these characters, their best bet is just to go for the kill. Widow's mobility is, to put it simply, too slow to reliably run away from the divers. You can go for the 0 to death or 300 HP combo, but just know that the initial hit might be a little bit hard to connect. The way I've approached this is to land the kick and the grapple and then land the headshot. Of course, this isn't the most consistent option, but you can take what you can get. And as for some of the other divers, well, you can check out these two videos if you want to see what happens to those people. I don't really have a proper tile card for this one. Triple support. There isn't exactly a formation of supports that Widow struggles against, it's just the presence of 3 supports in general. Let's put it like this. Rivals is played in a 6v6 format, usually where there's 2 tanks, 2 DPS, and 2 supports. Let's put these guys into a domination match. At the mid fight, the tanks are usually frontlining taking all the damage while the DPSs do, well, damage. During that mid fight, it's the responsibility of the supports to make sure those people don't die. In quickplay, there's a lot of insta-lock DPSs which forces people to solo tank when they don't really want to, so the most variation I've seen is where there's 3 DPSs and 1 tank with the 2 supports as usual. But what if instead of 3 DPSs, you had 3 supports? There's less damage output overall, but there's also more healing to go around as well. And since Rivals is played in teams of 6, that means half of the team is able to heal the rest of the others. This leaves a lot more room for just heal botting or pocketing players. This is horrible for Widow. It's extremely hard to grab a kill from afar thanks to how fast supports can heal their teammates, making Widow's game plan completely invalidated. Because of Widow's firing rate, it's easier for supports to just heal in between shots. So, if you shoot anyone on the team, they're probably going to be healed before you take another shot. Now, I might be a little bit biased towards this, considering my tendencies to miss free kills, but I still stand by my point. So, what does Widow do? Honestly, the best advice I could give against triple support is to just switch to a different character. Unless one of the supports is just slacking, you're better off playing characters that can pick off these characters much easier. I've had some good runs with Bucky in these kinds of situations. He's one of the best anti-dive characters, but they're also able to grab kills on their own pretty fast, regardless of the supports. Another option, and I think the better option, is to also lock in support. It's much more useful to heal your team rather than going for kills that you're just not gonna get, so I think it's better just to play the opponent's game rather than trying to fight it. I don't think the support that you're playing really matters, as long as you lock in one. I've been playing a lot of Jeff recently, but the choice is up to you. And in case if you're wondering, I don't have a whole lot of advice for tanking because I only play 1 tank and they're a brawler tank of all things. The tank that you play against this formation would probably be reliant on the team comp. But again, the choice is up to you. And yeah, there are very lucky situations where I've been able to get away with Widow on triple support, but those are super rare. Just switch to a different character. You'll save a lot of sanity doing that. Black Widow has never been a good character in Marvel Rivals, and it's very likely that it'll never change. Because of the ever-transforming meta of Marvel Rivals, Widow just keeps falling short. Whether it's the new characters that thrive off gimmicks, to the characters that have been here since day 1, Natascha suffers from the fact that she can't really do a lot against the cast. These matchups showcase the flaws in Widow's character that need some tuning in order for her to be a good character. Maybe one day we'll see a new patch that can help her win these matchups, but for now, she'll probably remain out of the meta. But let's be real, it's still really funny when you get a kill you definitely didn't
It's like
deserve.
those I consent photos where it's like I consent, I don't. Is it there's somebody you're forgetting to add?
Oh!